Champ John Florence is your world champion for 2016, and it's happened right here in Portugal.
With the crowning of Champ John Florence as the 2016 world champion, the freshly redesigned trophy has returned to Hawaii for the first time since the late Andy Irons claimed it in 2004. The World Championship has already been decided, but there are still champions to be crowned as the entire surfing community converges onto the North Shore of Oahu. Competitors now shift their focus to the final stop of the year, the Billabong Pipe Masters.
Bonsai Bakery is open. Donuts in the lineup. Biscuits are baking on the beach.
Champ John Florence, who is in the tube. This is a beautiful looking wave. It unloads.
Oh, yeah.
Packing a super deep one. That pipeline and coming out is Sebastian Seitz. The pressure of requalification is weighing heavy on some. The glory of a Pipe Masters win on others. 51 heats remain. 51 chances for the top surfers in the world to etch their name in the history books of the most coveted contest in surfing.
Pipeline, big barrel spin, and Mason's on his way up. Can this contest get even better?
Locks in deep at back door. Plenty of room to stand tall as he drives through a beautiful section. The 46th annual Billabong Pipe Masters in memory of Andy Irons begins now. Aloha, good morning, and welcome to the Billabong Pipe Masters in memory of Andy Irons, the final stop of the Samsung Galaxy Championship Tour as we're waiting for waves here at the Bonsai Pipeline. Welcome to another big morning show to see what's going to happen with the world's best today. We're really going to focus on Gabriel Medina and Champ John Florence, world number 1 and 2, in their challenge to go for their first Pipe Masters title this season. We've got local boy Ross Williams here on deck to check out the Fantasy Surf team, so get ready to pick yours. And also we'll be diving into the Pipe Invitational, the best local surfers on this island, plus some wild cards, looking for the last 2 spots into the main event. Thanks for being with us. I'm Joe Turpel alongside former big wave champ Pete Mel. Morning, Peter.
Good morning.
89 world champ Martin Potter. Potts, you opened up this week on your Instagram, great post by the way, as a 17-year-old kid. In the Pipe Masters and also getting your first 10. You gave me chills reading it. I can't imagine what it felt like for you.
Yeah, it's one of those places. I mean, you ask 99.9% of the surfers on tour, and this is probably one of the most special events ever, and even more so in memory of Andy Irons. But this is where careers are made and broken, and legends are born. So it's a very special place.
Oftentimes, Pete Mel, we think of yourself when we think of gigantic waves that it's hard to even measure in the 40-plus range. But you're a big fan of pipe and backdoor. Rumor has it, Kelly kind of pushed you deep on one, and you broke your board the other day. What happened there?
Yeah, brand new board that had been abused on the travels all through our tour life here. Never even rode it until I got here. Things in 2 pieces in one day. That's what Pipeline will do. For me, it's kind of a neat thing that you almost have 2 different types of surfers. You got a pipeline surfer who doesn't care about the reef, is not scared about going over the ledge, and then you got the heavy water or sunset style surfer where they're more comfortable getting dragged underwater and holding their breath. And you kind of have a separation. I mean, nowadays you want to see everybody do it all. That's always the case. But I was more of a sunset surfer than I was a pipeline surfer. So I've always challenged myself out here because it's so much more difficult for me.
So fun breaking down the scenarios. Obviously big scenarios for guys trying to requalify in the final stop of the season. Before we get there, let's see if we're on. We'll say good morning to Rosie Hodge and Deputy Commissioner Renato Hickel.
Good morning, boys. Well, Renato, you've been keeping an eye on the ocean. It's a little bit sleepy this morning out at Pipeline. Will we see the boys hit the water with their contest vests on?
Well, Rosie, we were hoping for a little bit of a bump on the swell today, but if something, it's even smaller than yesterday. So it's a pretty tricky forecast we have ahead of us. We're going to call the competition off today, and we're going to meet again tomorrow, try once again, see if the event is on, and, cherry pick the best of the swell we have ahead. We have tricky winds too. So like I said, it's going to be hard, but we'll try our best.
Well, talking about that forecast from Surfline, what are we looking at? What days are we expecting to see a little bit more of a pulse?
There is a good chance of Monday. We're going to try again tomorrow, Sunday. I would say Monday is a bigger chance. And also another bump on us on Thursday. So fingers crossed, materialize.
Well, no competition today, but two of our young world champs that are yet to win a victory at the Pipeline Masters will be profiling next on Dawn Patrol. Don't go anywhere.
I think it's the most exciting wave to watch. You never know what's going to happen. If you can make the barrel or not, if you can make the drop.
Pipe Masters is a really hard event to win. It might be one of the hardest events to win. There's just a lot of factors that go into surfing that wave. You have the left and you have the right, and then on top of that you have 32 of the best surfers in the world who are all very, very good at getting barreled. You can get one that turns really bad really quick, or you can get one that turns really good, and so you really got to be in tune with the ocean when you're surfing out there when it's big. I've been surfing this wave since I was young, really young, like 8 years old.
Where I live, when it gets big, it's really powerful wave, and I just got used to surf these kind of waves at home. Since I was a little girl, I've been doing this. It's just like John, you know, he knows what to do, what to see.
I've been fortunate enough to grow up there and get a lot of time put in out there.
We surfers know how hard it is, so that would be an honor, you know, to be a champion. Every good surfer that won here at Pipe is pretty much a legend.
Champ John Florence and Gabriel Medina qualified for the tour at the same time. Medina started with 2 wins in the back part of the midseason rotation. Then Florence stole the Rookie of the Year honor off him at the end of the year with a win in Brazil and finished higher on the rankings. Since then, we've been calling them rivals ever since. Medina getting the first world title. Now John can call himself the current world champion. One thing on the line, the race to become a pipe master before each other. And Pete Potts, as we look back in history, we look at Medina's amazing track record in waves of consequence, more consistent than Florence. However, this is Champ John's backyard, and it's his world title year. Well, how do you think this one's going to play out, Peter?
It's so many. We can dissect this one all sorts, you know, but I truly believe that these are the two. I mean, you say we call them rivals? No, they are. They are straight rivals. It is amazing to see these two surfers. They are the best in the world. Here we are at Pipeline. To me, it's a wild card. I mean, right now, you would say that, you know, Gabriel Medina is pumping, doing push-ups, sit-ups, thinking about 2017. You know, and I think that Champ John Florence would be kind of just like, you know, umbrella drinks and cruising at this point, which is a dangerous Champ John too, right?
I don't know about that.
No. I mean, but you know, I think it's like he's cruising. He doesn't have any stress. He's won a world title. I mean, obviously he wants to win the Pipe Masters, but I love this matchup between these two, and I know that they are definitely trying to beat each other.
Well, I was talking to John's mum, Alex, the other day out in the water, and she said it's kind of a weird feeling because we don't know whether to celebrate or not at the moment because there's still work to do. So, in my eyes, I think John's looking pretty dangerous, yes, but, you know, Pipeline's it's that kind of spot that can throw up a wild card. I mean, look at Jeremy Flores, look at Karen Perot. There was a couple of names there that in the past that have come out of nowhere and won this event. So, although the focus is on these two guys coming into it, number 1 and 2 in the world, both guys are yet to win. Medina's back-to-back finals here. It's tough to say. I mean, Pipe has the last say, doesn't it? Really?
Well, then you can throw the ocean into the mix,
exactly,
right? And look at the forecast. It's you never know what we're going to get.
Well, interesting, Pete. Breaking down their approach at Pipe and backdoor, completely different. You've got a goofy foot Medina, Champ John Florence, a natural footer. How do you break down how they get the most points out of this wave?
You would say that in a way that Gabriel, being that he's a goofy foot, is going to be able to kind of negotiate Pipe, but better, being that he's on his forehand. But the reality is they're both really, really good going both directions. So whatever, that's why they've made you know, back-to-back finals for Gabriel. You know, and Champ John being one of the best out here at any given session because they can go both directions really well.
It's really interesting when you look at these two. Road to the final from Medina and heavy water waves. It's hard to find a wipeout from Medina, hard to find a mistake. Oftentimes Florence will take a few beatings along the way, taking off super deep, trying to do the impossible, riding the foam ball. Why is that, Potts?
Well, I mean, he's looking for those impossible ones. He's looking for those ones that, when you paddle into it, almost looks like a closeout. You know, those are the ones that Champ John wants. Why? Because you spend way more time in the barrel, and that's the essence of Pipeline and backdoor is, you know, time spent behind the curtain. So, you know, and that also comes with experience. It also comes with identifying a certain kind of wave that you're looking for. You know, he's clinical about it. I mean, you look at the way he won at Chopu, you know, no wipeouts at all up until the finals, which basically saved his energy all the way through. So, you know, Medina's going to take that approach in saying that some backdoor barrels over the last couple of years on his backhand, amazing. But, I mean, John's got the talent both ways. Both of these guys have got the talent both ways. I mean, let's flip a coin, and I think that's kind of what you got to do, really. You know, if you had a crystal ball, even still, it would be difficult to see who's going to win.
Well, it's interesting, Pete, when you look at Champ John Florence of the Vulcan Pipe Pro, QS, he basically walks up to the podium to take the trophy, the most successful surfer at that event. Something changes at the Pipe Masters where he's lost before the quarterfinals a few times in his career. Is it pressure when it comes to this stage in an event for John?
Not in my eyes. I think that it's just bad luck. Just something happens, you know. And this heat surfing is heat surfing. You know, anything can happen. It's the ocean. You've got a mistake. Just little things. You know, I think that he'll win a couple Pipe Masters before his career is over. And as soon as that kind of floodgates opens, I think it's on.
Really impressive looking at the last handful of finals out here. Medina, back-to-back final appearances, coming close to a title, maybe his closest attempt against Julian Wilson. Both those surfers, high totals into the 19-plus range. Backed it up with consistency once again when he was an all-Brazilian final, and De Souza taking that first title for Brazil here at the Pipe Masters as he acts as the defending champ. So even going further off the list of number 1 and 2 in the world, Potts, we have a hungry top 5 on the Jeep leaderboard, all without Pipe Masters in their career.
Well, that's it. I mean, you know, you can't underestimate the guys still in the draw. You know, you look all the way down to the bottom, Jeremy Flores. I mean, he's a danger man when it comes to Pipeline. So, you know, we can focus as much as we want on the top 2 guys, but there's 30 other guys out there that have the ability to win. And you heard Gabriel Medina talk about it. You know, all the guys in this event are good in the barrel. They all know how to ride that wave, but it comes to a point where, you know, picking the right one and spending most time behind the curtain is going to be the difference.
Interesting, though, because I like getting predictions on who's going to finish on top. Pete, you were I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you were leaning towards maybe John's already celebrating. Medina might have more of a competitive edge.
Well,
what are you going to say?
In that sense, though, I'd say that he's kind of relaxed. You know, I mean, I think that he's, you know, the hard work's been done, so he's now in his backyard. He can kind of cruise. He wants a Pipe Masters as much as Medina does. So it's just different mindsets. You know, I think that Medina is stinging from not winning that world title and being so close. And I think that he's going to be motivated, put it that way. So again, coin flip in my eyes. Who, you know, and maybe none of those guys win.
You're on the fence at the moment. Come on, who's going to win out of those two?
Come on, Potts.
Potter, are you not on the fence?
No, I reckon Medina maybe. I think, like he said, he's stinging from it. He's come second twice. With the forecast the way it is, I think favours Medina.
I've got good balance.
There we go. Well, we're going to give you some
Walking
time.
that
We're going to take a quick break. We're going to get Pete's pick for that decision. Medina versus John John. Coming up next, Ronnie Blakey and Ross Williams break down the fantasy surfing picks here for Pipeline.
Welcome back to the show. Ronnie Blakey here with a local in these parts, Ross Williams. Thank you for having us, Ross, in your hometown.
Thanks, Ronnie. Good to be here.
We are loving life on the North Shore, even though there's not a lot of waves around today. Still the fun little sandbars you can find down here at Beach Park.
Yeah, it's been amazing. We had almost 3 weeks of crazy, almost hurricane force wind when you guys are over on Maui. So the last few days has been really nice and benign, and it's opened up all those little nooks and crannies around the island. Everyone's been having fun surfing.
That's right. Well, we're going to be talking fantasy surfing, and it isn't too late to get your team together. We're going to have a look at Ross's picks, and Ross, you've got a bit of work to do to make up some ground on the leader in your little posse.
I do. Ron Dog is leading us in our WSL league. So, and that's the theme of today is we're going to talk about what you need to do to win. This is the last event of the year, so there's no need to play it safe. So that's kind of the keys to my success today is pick one kind of sleeper in each tier. And so for Tier A, you're going to see John and Gabriel. But Ronnie, I was kind of skitsy all day yesterday. I changed my picks 100 times, and so I ended up actually switching out Gabriel for Julian. Now, I know you have the luxury of looking at my picks. If you wanted to, you could just pick everything and just take our league out, but you're not going to do that.
I don't know. But so you've switched out Gabriel for Julian. What's the reason behind that?
Okay, so in general, we're trying to pick. I'm trying to pick a sleeper in each tier. So John's going to have mid-90s, percentage-wise, picking him. So and as you should, because John's the favorite to win in my opinion. Same for Gabriel. The boys were talking about it on the desk. Gabriel maybe not as talented at piping backdoor as John, but he's got that competitive edge. So both those boys are a lock. But if you're behind and you need to get points, you can't share those same picks. So I think Julian's the next best option.
Okay, I think they're fantastic picks in that Tier A. And that's not really the tier you want to take too many chances. You want to go for the winners, in my opinion, too. Those guys are going to be in the finals for sure. Let's check out who you got in Tier B, because this is where you can really make up some ground.
A little more breathing room here to be creative. And you're going to see, so Kelly, obviously, I wouldn't be surprised if almost 100% of people pick him out there in this tier. Sebastian Zietz as well, who's done well here at Pipe before, proven competitor. Josh Kerr, a little more of a a risky pick, hasn't had the best record at Pipe, but we all know that Josh charges. He's super comfortable in shallow reef breaks. The other thing that we haven't talked about yet, Ronnie, is the forecast is spotty. There's days that are going to be looking good for maybe 4 or 5 foot backdoor, and then hopefully at the end of the waiting period we'll get some traditional pipeline. So I'm trying to mix it up here with the guys that are comfortable going right and left.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? You want a performer looking at this forecast who is able to get the moves done on the smaller days, but also has that pipe experience, and you've got a few of those picks. Any concerns, some whispers getting around that Kelly Slater's back's not at 100%? Any worries there with Kelly?
Definitely, it is a concern, but I've seen Kelly surf the last few days, and he looks fine. And the cool thing, in terms of carrying a back injury at Pipe, if the waves are hollow, all you got to do is make that bottom turn and pull in. And the other thing is Kelly, above any other surf spot in the world, this is his favorite. So I think if he really has to, he can pop an Advil and get it done.
Yeah, definitely. And it didn't hurt his golf game yesterday. Shot an even par out on the Arnold
golf,
Palmer
how bad
course.
could it be?
Exactly. Tier C. And there is some really interesting peaks down the bottom end of the ratings because there is some real pipe performers down there.
Yeah, and so you nailed it, Ronnie. Tier A, maybe, just pick the obvious picks and then you can get riskier as you go. So Tier C, it's all over the map. But actually not for me. And I think a lot, I'm not sure what the percentage is, but when you lock in your player, you can see how many people share that pick with you. So it's going to be high for Jeremy. He's obviously a proven champ and as well, comfortable on a shallow reef. But Jack Friesen is a guy that I'm trying to pick that might be that sneaky guy. He's really good at backdoor. He's been catching a few sneaky waves at Pipe as well. So I think Kai Otten would be a lot of people will pick Kai, but watch out for Jack.
Definitely. I think Kai will be in my team. Kai's basically surfing for a win in this contest to keep a place on the championship tour, and we've seen him bag near perfect scores out here in the past, so we'll be watching him closely.
So hopefully my point of difference is that you pick Gabriel, I'm going to pick Julian, I'm going to pick Jack, you pick Kai, and maybe that'll be the difference because I'm like about 150 points behind you and I'm going to need some big points there.
Yeah, well, it'll be interesting. Well, stay with us because after the break we're going to be having a look at the Surfline forecast. Don't go anywhere.
Good morning. Thanks for watching Dawn Patrol here for the Billabong Pipe Masters in memory of Andy Irons. We've got a big waiting period, waiting for surf. Today called off, but we're hoping to get some better waves throughout the waiting period. Joe Chappelle alongside Pete Mel and former world champ Martin Potter. Pete Mel, looking at the maps, do we have any signs of brilliance coming up around the corner for this contest?
I don't know if we go brilliance, but there is opportunity, and Hawaii is Hawaii. We are in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, and lots can happen. Lots can change. It's weather. It's one of those things that we love about trying to forecast weather. It's not easy. If you look at what we have on the maps there, we've got a little north swell. That first little blip that's right above us is supposed to bring us some swell for the weekend and into Monday. That was what Renato was talking about. It's going to come with some north winds, forecasted north winds. Of course, we don't really have a positive on it, but that's something that we can look at for Monday, Tuesday. And then you look further out. That big purple one, that's the direction we want to see for pipeline. It's going to come at the end of the waiting period. We're going to see some swell for today, pretty much holding in there at this little north swell. We talked about this little pulse. It is on the buoys. It's like 8 feet at 12 seconds. You look out here, though, pretty soft. Not a lot of waves. Maybe some nooks and crannies along there because it's so glassy. But look at that for Monday, Tuesday. That's the bigger stuff we're going to see. But again, look at the top little arrows. North winds, which is not good for here. Kind of blows right on top of it. We'll look at it. Of course, we have to, especially when you look at the forecast going. You gotta give it an option.
Crazy, though, when you think about that first bump of swell would be for the trials. Guys like Reef McIntosh on deck in that first tee. And you remember what they did last season, Potts. Mason Ho also got the call up because we had an injury, and he went all the way to a semifinal.
Well, that's the thing. That's what we talked about earlier about pipeline. There's just so many variables involved, and it's going to be exciting once we get the ball rolling, that's for sure.
Really looking forward to it. Thanks for being with us on the show today. Coming up tomorrow, Jadson Andre will be joining us with a dramatic requalification run. We'll see you then.
I don't have it. You did make it. 100% sure. Alan said you're in. No way. Dude, congratulations. You did already say that?